What is the most unusual excuse you've ever heard of from somebody calling off work? My grandparents had a medical emergency years ago where one got stuck on the toilet, and when the other tried to help they fell and knocked themselves unconscious. My employer demanded details and didn't believe me because it sounded like an SNL skit. I emailed the office that I wouldn't be in for a few days because my then-wife had our son in the front seat of my car on the side of the turnpike. They knew he was due any day, and we were actually on the way to the hospital. He just came faster than we expected. I got an email back from a coworker with a link to a local news article saying, "I thought I recognized your car." Colleague rang my boss one morning after a rather important football match. "Boss, what would happen if I came into work drunk?" "You'd be fired." "Right, boss, what would happen if I rang in and said I couldn't come in because I was drunk?" "You'd get a written warning." Okay, boss. "What would happen if I didn't come in today but didn't give you a reason?" "A verbal warning." "Cheers, boss, I'll take that." A plane landed on the expressway, preventing traffic from using the road. A guy the first worked with in retail 15 years ago called in to say he had a nightmare and didn't think he'd be able to get back to sleep, come in to work 5 hours later. My wife called me from home while I was at work one day. I asked her why she was home instead of at work and she said, "I called in sick." I asked her what was wrong. She replied, "There's a big bug by the door." We lived in garden apartment with only one entrance. And she couldn't get out because of the bug. I told her to step on it. She was too afraid. I told her to sick our Jack Russell on it. She, the dog, was definitely not afraid of bugs. So that's what she did. She took the dog over to it, pointed it out, and the dog went over to it, sniffed it and walked away. Upon further examination it turned out the bug was actually just a ball of loose thread. These are the dangers of not wearing your glasses, I guess. Not work, but a college class with a pretty strict attendance policy. I delivered a message to the professor that my friend couldn't come that day because she thought one of her guppies might give birth. To prevent cannibalism, the recommendation was to separate the babies from the adults ASAP. Professor accepted this as an excused absence lol. A colleague emailed me to tell me he'd be out of town and unable to review the materials I sent him. I was frustrated because I work in print publishing and deadlines really don't care about your vacation. Checked in with another colleague to see if he agreed that I should follow up with him by phone regardless. It turns out he was not just out of town. He was in a not the asshole RCTICA doing research. Back in my retail days one girl didn't show up, so he called her and she said, "I forgot that I worked there," as in forgot they worked for our store, not forgot they worked that day. It was the most insane excuse I'd ever heard as a manager. She'd worked with us for like 3 weeks. She forgot forever because she never came back. Years ago during the mob wars in St. Louis, we had a girl calling into work saying that she was behind a car that blew up on the highway. She was a known exaggerator, so we laughed it off. Turned out it was true. One of my daughter's primary school teachers had to take a day off because her beagle had climbed onto the roof of her house. Again, true story, my vagina has a fever. I did not say this, but an older lady called in sick and that's her excuse. Had a second shift QA job in my 5th packing house. Not a governor inspector, not on the line, not a supervisor, hated by all. Morbidly depressed after 6 months. Woke up one morning and felt great mentally and physically. Called in, "I'm calling in well. I feel great and won't ruin it by coming to work today. Boss said I'll have to write you up tomorrow." Have it. Sent out a resume and left a month later. I called out once because there was a scorpion in my bed that stung me 10+ times and I was in an helicopter being medevaced. Called out once because a pack of javelina were encircling my car. Called out once because there was a mama cougar hanging out on my back wall, WA baby on the ground. Called out once because a saguaro fell over onto my house and I had to prove to the feds that I didn't knock it over. Called out on 2 separate occasions because I got stuck in a hurricane and missed my flight home. Called out once because I was helping rescue a friend's horses from a wildfire that was moving toward their ranch. I think that's pretty much it for my wild excuses. I don't really get sick, so I don't call out unless I really can't get to work. Tears of joy. They couldn't come in because their neighbor's dog ate their car keys.